Hi, welcome to INTERGENDERACTION, an Erasmus Plus project funded by the European Commission. In this chapter, we will talk about communication styles and how to adapt different styles and channels to different generations. We live and work in an era where up to 5 generations can coexist in the same workplace, from baby boomers to Generation Z. Each brings with them a profoundly different worldview, educational background, and communication style. This can be a huge resource, but also a source of misunderstandings. For example, think about the way in which a simple piece of information is communicated. A baby boomer might prefer a phone call or a face-to-face meeting. A millennial will feel more comfortable with an email message, while a Gen Z person will probably use an instant chat or a voice message. None of these methods is right or wrong, but if we are not aware of these differences, we risk interpreting the form as a sign of respect or disinterest, with real consequences on the climate of the team. A study published by PwC in 2023 shows that 85% of conflicts in the workplace have communication problems as the main cause. And one of the most frequent misunderstandings arises precisely from the fact that each generation has a different grammar of communication. Older generations, for example, tend to place a lot of value on formality, patiently building trust and authoritative communication. Younger generations, on the contrary, prefer direct, fast, often informal language and prefer immediate feedback. Even the way in which problems are addressed changes. Senior generations tend to be more reserved, while younger ones are used to openly discussing and seeking collective solutions. So, how can we avoid misunderstandings and build bridges instead of barriers? The first step is to know the differences without stereotyping them. Not all young people are impulsive and not all seniors are rigid, but knowing generational tendencies helps us put ourselves in the other person's shoes. The second step is to consciously adapt our communication style, looking for a meeting point. A useful tool for doing this is the DISC model, used by many companies to improve communication in teams. This model identifies 4 communication styles: dominant, influential, stable, and conscientious, and helps you understand how to adapt your language to that of others. It is not tied to age, but it allows you to better manage communication diversity in intergenerational groups. Another concrete strategy is to introduce shared rules of communication. For example, establish when to use email and when to use instant messaging. Clarify expectations about the tone to use in internal communications, and ensure that everyone has the same access to information, regardless of their familiarity with technology. Some organizations, such as SAP and Microsoft, have included reverse mentoring paths in their diversity programs, in which a young person and a senior colleague exchange experiences, not only on technical skills, but also on how to communicate and interpret work. This not only reduces mutual prejudices, but builds a common language. A practical tip: when you communicate with someone from a different generation than yours, try to observe how they speak, what channels they prefer, how much space they leave between speaking turns. Then adapt, without forcing, your style to get on the same wavelength. This type of flexibility is now considered a fundamental soft skill for those who manage people. Let's remember that communication is not just an exchange of information. It is also a question of recognition, respect, space given and received. When we learn to really listen, even to those who communicate differently from us, we begin to build stronger, more inclusive and productive relationships. That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening to our INTERGENDERACTION podcast. And remember, if you want to keep learning about intergenerational and gender diversity and inclusion, visit our official website intergenderaction.eu. And don't forget to follow us on our social media. Funded by the European Union. Views and opinions expressed are, however, those of the authors only and do not necessarily reflect those of the European Union or agents, Erasmus plus France, Education Formation. Neither the European Union nor the grading authority can be held responsible for them. This work is licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 4.0 International License. To view a copy of this license, visit http://creativecommons.org. Licenses by SAA 4.0. Logos are excluded from this license.